Hey guys, what's going on? Today we're going to be talking about the Promised Neverland. And if you don't know what the Promised Neverland is, there is a video that I did, like the first video on my channel, and that discusses the Promised Neverland, the whole series in general. So if you want to catch up on the Promised Neverland, go watch that video. And if you haven't watched the Promised Neverland, go watch it, because I do always recommend the anime I talk about, and this is actually a really good one. It has to be in my top 10 for anime. So if you haven't watched that, go check it out, and I did do a video on it. So after you watch it, go watch that video, or watch the video before in case you want to know what it's about. But today we're going to be discussing a certain character on the Promised Neverland. If you've been on Twitter or anywhere, you should know who this character is. And this character is actually named Phil, and Phil is a character from the Promised Neverland. So today we're just going to discuss a little bit about him, what he does in this series, some theories, and talk about why people hold him at such a high regard. Like, it's one of those characters where everyone just thinks he's cute and everyone thinks he's the best character, which Phil is a decent character in the series. I actually really like his character too. It's not because it's a cute little character. No, I like him because of what he adds to the series. And before we get deep into it, I just want to say one thing. If the video does look a little different or does look a little weird, it's because I'm trying to figure out how to color grade and stuff like that. So hopefully it turns out good. Hopefully the quality looks better, because I was messing with some things on my camera, and hopefully that works out. I'm gonna try to get the audio better too. I just want to step it up a little bit, you know what I mean? That's why I did the wall. I'm gonna be changing my setup a little bit, putting posters up and stuff like that. So hopefully it comes along good, and just let me know what you guys think about the camera colors and quality. I'm gonna try to make it vibrant. Right now for me it looks like it's gray, but hopefully we can get it better. So Phil, let's start with his voice actor. His voice actor, she's pretty new to the scene when it comes to voice acting. I think she's done like 5 roles, and she has been voice acting since 2017, and her name is Hiyori Kono, if I'm saying that right. Pretty sure I am. And I think Phil was one of her big roles. She also did Poochie from Death March. I remember Poochie from Death March. If you haven't seen Death March, check that out too. It's a really good anime. But she's coming up, you know, she's going to be doing more series later on this year, and in 2020 I bet she's going to be starting to get used more. You know, that's how voice actors are. Their career kind of starts off slow, and then they take up pace, especially when you get roles where people are like, hey, I know you from this, or I know you from this, just not like background characters. That's what she did before, but it's nice to see when voice actors get, you know, bigger roles, even though Phil's not that big of a role. So, if you haven't watched The Promised Neverland, now is the time you click off, because I'm going to be discussing some spoilers, and I'm going to be discussing why I like the character Phil. So, I'll give you a couple seconds to leave. And okay, now that those trash bags are gone, let's get back on with the video. So, Phil, his character is, he just adds like this, I don't want to say he's like the viewer, but I want to say he's like someone who adds this element of shock and suspense to the series, if you know what I mean. So like, Phil is one of those characters who knows everything that's going on, but will never say it. And you see him scattered throughout the series, and you're like, okay, why are they showing this clip of this random little boy? Why are they showing the clip of this random little boy? And then at the end of the series, when we get closer to like the final episodes, like I think it was like 10 or 11, we figure out, oh, so he was put in place for this reason. And everything he was doing, it just looked like casual playing around. He was actually paying very close attention. So let me explain to you some of the scenes. Just like when Sister Crone was under Norman's bed, Phil was like, hey, you wanna play? What are you doing under Norman's bed? And she was like, oh, nothing. And then he just ran and laughed off. And then other stuff, he was watching Mama very closely, and no one really suspected Phil whatsoever. I don't even think Mama suspected Phil, but she did suspect Emma, Norman, and Ray. And what I think about Phil, and what I like about Phil, is we figure out in the last episode that they didn't take all the kids, even though that was a plan throughout the whole series. Well, Emma's plan, not Ray's plan, but Emma's plan was to take all the kids, and then she decided at the last second, I don't think we could survive if we take all the kids. So then Phil was like, don't worry. Wait, before Phil said don't worry, she was like, okay, I'm gonna tell one of the younger kids. So they called Phil in, which he is the kid with the highest test scores, because if you know how the Promised Neverland works, the whole test score thing, Phil has the highest test scores out of the younger children. He's only 4 years old, highest test scores. So she calls him in, explains everything, and Phil is like, I already knew about Mama and the demons. And she's like, what? And he's like, I felt like you guys been acting weird ever since Connie left. So then they understand, and we understand as the viewers, Phil knows everything. Phil's been watching this plan too, like Phil's been suspicious too. So they left, and they left Phil there. Phil is being used as a distraction for Mama. And then at that point in the series, I realized, I'm like, yo, so they're gonna come back for Phil in 4 years. I think it was 2 to 4 years. And he has to sit there and wait until they come back. So are they going to ship him off, or are they going to wait? One, they can't ship Phil off because he has the highest test scores. They have to wait till he's 12, till his brain fully develops. So then I'm like, okay, Phil's not going to get shipped off, but what about the other kids? Phil has to watch these other kids. So now he's playing the part of Emma, Norman, and Ray. Like, he's the smartest one there. He's the only kid that knows. I don't know if he's going to tell other kids, but we have to wait for them to come back to come and get Phil. And there's a lot of theories and speculation on Phil, like, why is he so smart? Why does he know what he knows? Why does he have the highest test scores? So a lot of people go to this thing of, oh, well, maybe Phil is like Ray in the sense where Ray has like this amnesia thing where all babies have amnesia and they don't remember when they were younger, but Ray remembers from when he was in the womb, and he remembers being birthed and stuff like that. Maybe Phil knows the same thing. A lot of people go with that theory, but then I see a lot of other people are like, no, we can't use that theory in the show again. That would just be a pull. We already did that with Ray. The author wouldn't do that. He wouldn't like trash a series like that using the same plot point twice. So I was kind of thinking the same thing. I was like, maybe they could do it, but maybe it's one of those things in the series where it's certain characters with this, right? And then the second thing with Phil, the theory is people think he's a demon. And I don't really see Phil being a demon. I see him being this really smart character that can trick and manipulate the demons and everyone else, but I don't see him being a demon and was placed there to watch the kids. And then the last theory that people have is that he does have the baby amnesia thing, and he is put there to watch the other kids as a spy, kind of like Ray, but an actual spy. So he actually works with the adults, and he's been conformed to work with them. Maybe that's the thing. I don't really see that the way he's been interacted with in the series. There was never any hints dropped on like that. Maybe they didn't want to drop hints because of that, and maybe Ray was just put in place as that first decoy just to throw people off of Phil's tracks because they knew Phil was younger and they could influence him more and stuff like that, even though they could have done that with Ray from the beginning. So that's one thing. And then there was final theories of like, oh, Phil has actually been outside and Phil just got there. But then I see stuff and I'm like, okay, well, Phil grew up with them, so how would he be from outside? How would he be working with them outside? And people was like, oh, he worked with what's the thing, William Minerva, the one with the books. And the thing with the books, that's another big thing with the books, why people think Phil worked with them outside, because William Minerva, I'm pretty sure I'm saying his name right, you know, when in the scene where they were doing the Morse code on the books, and Emma was saying, oh, well, Phil pointed this out to me that there are Morse codes on the books and stuff like that. So there's these whole big theories that Phil is Minerva, Phil's working with William Minerva, Phil's been on the outside, Phil's getting information from the outside, Phil is the one that's going to free all the plantations. So it's like, I like that he's just such a minor background character, and he is just like this character that has to do a lot with the series, if you know what I mean, because I have seen some things, I don't know, I've only watched the anime, I haven't really read the manga, and people say Phil is actually becomes like the main protagonist of the story when Emma, Norman, and Ray leave, and they focus a lot, Okay, so for some reason, due to the audio cutting out in my recordings, the next 3 minutes of the video are gonna sound like trash. I'm sorry for that, and I hope you can still enjoy the video, and yeah, so here's the rest of the video, and once again, sorry for the way that the audio sounds. Graceville Orphanage, and I was thinking, I don't really know, I haven't really read the manga, I don't see the series going in that direction, I see it following Emma and Ray to see like what's on the outside. I don't know how much it's going to focus on Phil. I hope it focuses on Phil, and in The Promised Neverland, I hope we don't see like a time skip. I don't really want to see a time skip. Like, let's say if it's 4 years, I don't want to see a 4-year time skip or a 3-year time skip. I want to see it gradually progress, and I want to see it maybe take a 2-year time skip. That would be okay, but not a 4-year time skip. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's too much for the series. And one thing about this series, I think it's a short series. I think it's only like up to 100 and something chapters. So I don't know if it's going to go that long, and I don't know how they're going to wrap it up. Did I pick up the manga? No. Do I feel like it? Not really, because I like to see the suspenseful animation and stuff like that. So I'm not really going to pick up the manga. I do really enjoy the series. I like Phil's character overall. And I want to know what you guys think about Phil's character and what theories you have on him, because apparently everyone loves Phil. Let me know who is your favorite character in The Promised Neverland, and if you want to see more character discussions on The Promised Neverland characters, let me know. And yeah, so don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, do all that. And with that being said, have a good day and peace.